plasma walls cycle red. In the reactor shaft of Theed Palace, 3 lightsabers dance their deadly ballet: green, blue, and the crimson staff that spins like a windmill of death. But this time, the Force whispers a different story. Obi-Wan Kenobi lunges forward, his blue blade seeking the opening he saw in Maul's defense. But the Zabrak warrior pivots, not backward as destiny once dictated, but sideways, using the momentum to drive his second blade straight through the young Jedi's chest. Time freezes. Qui-Gon's scream echoes through the chamber as his Padawan crumbles, the light fading from those earnest eyes that should have watched over the Chosen One. The galaxy just shifted on its axis, and nobody knows it yet. Qui-Gon Jinn becomes something the Jedi Code never prepared him for. A berserker fueled by grief. His assault drives Maul back, each strike of his green blade carrying decades of training, mixed with raw primal fury. The Sith apprentice retreats, genuinely caught off guard by the older Jedi's transformation. But then, through the chaos, Maul's comlink crackles with a single command from his master: withdraw. The Zabrak warrior vanishes into the shadows of Naboo's maintenance corridors, leaving Qui-Gon cradling Obi-Wan's still form. The Master's final promise isn't about training the boy from Tatooine. It's a plea to the Force itself. Don't let his death be meaningless. 9-year-old Anakin Skywalker stands before the Jedi Council days later, but everything's wrong. Qui-Gon lies in a Bacta tank, barely clinging to life. Mace Windu's jaw tightens as he studies this supposed Chosen One. Without Obi-Wan to champion the boy after Qui-Gon's recovery proves incomplete, the Council's reluctance hardens into something closer to suspicion. Train him, we will, Yoda finally declares, but his ears droop with uncertainty. Though clouded, his future remains. They assign Anakin to multiple masters, a committee approach that satisfies no one. Mace Windu oversees combat training with military precision. Kit Fisto handles diplomacy lessons. Plo Koon teaches starfighter tactics, but none of them provide what Obi-Wan would have given freely: understanding, patience, and most importantly, friendship. Anakin grows powerful, but isolated. His emotional needs met only in secret conversations with Chancellor Palpatine, who seems to be the only one who truly listens. Meanwhile, in the industrial depths of Coruscant, Darth Maul kneels before his master, but instead of disposal, he receives elevation. Sidious sees opportunity in his apprentice's victory. Here is a Sith who has tasted Jedi blood and lived to savor it. You will become my phantom, Sidious intones, his voice carrying dark promise. While the galaxy watches my public face, you will build our true power base in shadow. Maul rises, his yellow eyes burning brighter. Within months, criminal syndicates across the Outer Rim begin reporting to a new power, someone they whisper about but never see, a figure who united Black Suns, the Pikes, and dozens of smaller organizations under a single banner: Crimson Dawn. This isn't the desperate organization Maul would have built after his bisection and madness. This is something far more dangerous. A Sith-controlled underground empire, built while its architect still possesses his full strength and sanity. The Clone Wars erupt on schedule, but the chessboard has changed. Count Dooku emerges as Darth Tyrannus, leading the separatist movement with aristocratic disdain. But he quickly realizes something is wrong. Supply lines that should flow smoothly are mysteriously disrupted. Key allies in the criminal underworld refuse his calls. Someone else has already claimed those pieces. The first confrontation between Maul and Dooku happens not with lightsabers, but through proxy wars in the Outer Rim. Entire systems burn as 2 Sith apprentices, but that's what they both are, despite the rule of 2, wage shadow battles for their master's approval. Sidious watches from his Senate podium, delighted. Let them weaken each other. Let them sharpen themselves against one another. The survivor will be worthy of standing at his side when the Empire rises. 20-year-old Anakin Skywalker leads clone battalions with a brilliance that should inspire, but instead terrifies. Without Obi-Wan's moderating influence, his tactics grow increasingly brutal. On Jabim, he doesn't just defeat the separatist forces, he obliterates them, city by city, until the planet's surface resembles Geonosis after an orbital bombardment. The clones worship him. The Jedi Council fears him. Ahsoka Tano arrives as his Padawan when he's 21, but their relationship develops differently. Where Obi-Wan would have taught Anakin patience through example, Anakin only knows control through dominance. He treats Ahsoka less like a student and more like a possession, something to be protected at all costs, shaped to his vision. When she challenges his methods during the bombing of a separatist sympathizing city on Rylith, he doesn't debate her. He simply overrides her objections with cold authority. "You'll understand when you're older," he tells her, the same words the Jedi Council used on him, perpetuating a cycle he doesn't even recognize. The war takes a dramatic turn when Maul reveals himself to the galaxy. On Mandalore, he doesn't arrive broken and seeking revenge. He comes as a conqueror, with Crimson Dawn's resources backing his claim to the throne. Pre Vizsla never stands a chance. Within weeks, the Mandalorian system becomes a third faction in the war. Neither Republic nor Separatist, but something else entirely. It's here that Anakin first faces the man who killed his would-have-been master. The duel takes place in the throne room of Sundari, broadcast across the holonet. Maul has studied Anakin for years through Sidious's careful intelligence network. He knows exactly which buttons to push. "You fight like a youngling playing with his father's lightsaber," Maul taunts, his dual blades spinning. "No wonder the Council fears you. You're all power, no control. At least Kenobi died with dignity." The mention of Obi-Wan, a name Anakin has heard in hushed tones, the perfect Jedi he can never live up to, breaks something inside him. His assault becomes frenzied, drawing on emotions that Jedi spent years trying to suppress. Maul doesn't just defeat him, he humiliates him, leaving a scar across Anakin's face that no amount of Bacta can fully heal. The young Jedi retreats, but the damage runs deeper than flesh. Padme watches the footage from her Senate apartment, her hand unconsciously moving to her stomach where new life grows. The man she married in secret is becoming someone she doesn't recognize. Without Obi-Wan to confide in, she bears this burden alone, watching her husband's calls become less frequent, his eyes growing harder with each transmission. Then comes the moment when everything shatters. Deep in the Works district of Coruscant, three figures meet in violence. Dooku and Maul, both summoned by their master, realize simultaneously they've been played. Sidious watches from the shadows as his apprentices tear into each other with decades of suppressed rivalry. Dooku's elegant Form 2 blade work clashes with Maul's savage Juyo. Lightning meets rage. Experience battles youth. But Sidious has already chosen his true successor, and it's neither of them. Anakin arrives at the Chancellor's urgent summons to find both Sith Lords weakened from their duel. Palpatine's revelation comes not gradually, but all at once. The grandfather figure drops his mask completely, revealing the Sith Lord beneath. He offers Anakin everything: the power to save Padme, the respect he's never received from the Jedi, and most importantly, revenge against Maul for his humiliation. "Kill them both," Sidious commands. "Take your place as Darth Vader." The fall happens faster without Obi-Wan's influence to slow it. Anakin doesn't hesitate. He doesn't agonize. He simply ignites his lightsaber and does what he's been trained to do: follow orders and destroy enemies. Dooku falls first, too weakened to mount a defense. But Maul escapes, diving through a window into Coruscant's endless vertical maze, wounded but alive, carrying knowledge that makes him the most dangerous being in the galaxy: the identity of Darth Sidious. Order 66 unfolds across 1,000 worlds, but the galaxy that emerges from its ashes is stranger than anyone could have imagined. The Empire rises with Vader as its iron fist, but in the Outer Rim, a different darkness spreads. Maul rebuilds Crimson Dawn not as a crime syndicate, but as a dark mirror of the rebellion that will eventually form. A third path that serves neither Emperor nor Senate, but the will of a rogue Sith who claims he alone understands the true nature of the dark side. The rebellion, when it finally coalesces, must navigate treacherous waters. Mon Mothma and Bail Organa find themselves making deals with devils, accepting support from Maul's syndicate while knowing that victory against the Empire might simply mean trading one Sith overlord for another. Some cells embrace Maul's methods: assassination, terrorism, the weaponization of suffering. Others resist, trying to maintain moral high ground on an increasingly tilted battlefield. 20 years pass. On Tatooine, Luke Skywalker grows up with only tales of a mysterious hermit named Ben who died before Luke was born. When destiny finally calls him to adventure, It's Yoda alone who must shape this raw potential, and the ancient master's approach is far different without Obi-Wan's foundation to build upon. Luke learns the Force not through wonder, but through discipline, not through hope, but through determination. The revelation comes differently too. When Vader finally speaks those fateful words,
"I am your father,"
there's no ghost of Obi-Wan to soften the blow with convenient truths. Luke faces the absolute nature of his heritage alone, just as his father faced his trials alone, perpetuating a cycle of isolation that began the day Maul's blade found its mark. But the greatest change comes in the final confrontation. It's not merely father against son with the Emperor watching. Maul emerges from shadow one last time, his body more machine than flesh after decades of war. The arm Vader took, legs lost to an assassination attempt by Imperial Inquisitors, organs replaced after countless battles defending his criminal empire. But his hatred burns pure, perhaps purer for all the flesh he sacrificed to keep it alive. 3 generations of Sith, Sidious, Vader, and Maul, with Luke caught in the center, representing not just the Jedi's hope, but the galaxy's last chance to break free from the endless cycle of Sith dominance. The throne room battle aboard the second Death Star becomes a 4-way dance of destiny. Lightsabers clash in combinations never before seen. Red against red as Vader and Maul settle old scores. Green against the darkness as Luke fights not 1, but 3 representatives of everything he's been trained to resist. And through it all, Sidious cackles, delighted by the chaos, confident that regardless of who survives, the dark side will prevail. It's Maul who changes everything. Not through redemption, he's too far gone for that, but through pure spite. As Sidious tortures Luke with Force lightning, as Vader watches paralyzed by indecision, Maul makes his choice. He doesn't save Luke out of compassion. He attacks Sidious out of decades of resentment, creating the chaos that allows Vader to finally choose his son over his master. The Death Star still burns. The Empire still falls. But the galaxy that emerges from its ashes bears scars that run deeper than anyone could have imagined. Where there should have been healing, there's only cautious peace. Where there should have been wisdom passed from master to student across generations, there's only broken chains of knowledge, each link severed by violence and mistrust. In the end, the saga closes not with celebration, but with understanding. Luke Skywalker stands alone on Endor, watching funeral pyres burn, knowing that he's ended one story but failed to fully begin another. Without Obi-Wan Kenobi, the galaxy found its way to freedom, but the path was darker, the cost higher, and the future more uncertain. The Force seeks balance, but balance, Luke now understands, isn't a destination. It's a dance on the edge of a blade, and one wrong step, one fallen Jedi on Naboo, can send ripples across decades, reshaping the destiny of billions. The young man who should have been a farmer looks up at unfamiliar stars, wondering what other threads of fate hang by such slender frames, waiting for someone, somewhere to make a different choice. The phantom echo of what might have been haunts the galaxy forever, a reminder that destiny is never certain, merely probable, and that even the smallest push can topple the mightiest empire or birth the darkest timeline. If you enjoyed this journey into an alternative Star Wars universe where destiny takes unexpected turns and balance means something entirely different, make sure to subscribe to our channel. We explore the infinite possibilities hidden within the galaxy far, far away, asking the questions that reshape everything you thought you knew. The Force has many paths. Come discover them with us.